What's up, guys? My name's Adam Gusky, and you're listening to the Mad Awareness Podcast. Today we got Bebeto Yewah on the line. He was a two-time national champ for UW-La Crosse, which is a Division III school where I went, and a three-time national finalist. He's a very good wrestler, obviously. In 2015, he was a world team member for his home country, Cameroon, and he currently coaches at Davenport University in Michigan, which is a D2 school. So we had a great conversation. He obviously knows a lot about wrestling. He was a very high-level wrestler, competed at pretty much every level. So with no further ado, let's get it rolling. What's up, guys? We're here with Bebeto Yewah. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. So, just this coronavirus thing, this thing needs to end.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. How has it
Yeah.
like changed your life and just like your daily routine since it happened?
My daily routine. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a coach at Davenport University. It's a D2 school over here. So it's a little challenging as far as like recruiting and stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
especially us, we have women's program actually opening up, starting for the first time this fall.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be in the fall anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah. So it's very challenging in that aspect, but a lot of phone calls, a lot of virtual meetings and stuff like this. So yeah, I mean, nothing that we can't get over. So because everyone else is going through it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you guys are a D2 school in Michigan,
hmm
and you said the men's program just started a couple years ago.
Well, the men pro, yeah, I think it was 2015 was the first year, and they just because before you get into the NCAA, you have to sit out for 2 years because they started NAIA, and then they
Okay.
had to sit out for 2 years without a end tournament. So there was no NCAA tournament or JUCO tournament for them.
Oh,
So that's just the rules when you get into NCAA.
okay.
And last year was the very first time that they had a postseason. So yeah, it's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, that is cool. When you go from like a just an all men's
hmm
program, what are like the major changes when you're putting a women's team on board as well?
What are the major changes?
Yeah. Like, do you guys hire like a couple new coaches and stuff, or?
Yeah, we're definitely looking to. We're still. I mean, this Corona stuff kind of backtracked us a little bit. We're hoping to get a women's coach up on board, but obviously with we're talking to a couple of the girls, and it's gonna be hard because some of them are trying to finish the Olympic cycle. So, I mean, most of them are probably gonna wait till next year before they decide on if they want to move on with us or not. So that kind of sucks, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
and I just imagine it's like probably doubles like the work you have to do in terms of like recruiting and stuff. So I bet
yeah,
that's a lot of fun stuff.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's not fun, but it's challenging, but it's not
Yeah,
impossible. So yeah.
good stuff.
hmm
So you were originally born in Cameroon,
Yeah.
and you were there until the age of 10. What was life like? What is life like there?
Uh, I mean, life in Cameroon was good, you know. I mean, there's can't sit here and tell you there's no challenging stuff, you know, but I mean, some of the things that I quite because I was really young, some of the things that I quite remember was I remember every summer we used to go out and because I live my dad was a marine engineer,
Okay.
so he would go out and at sea for like months and then come back and so after about I don't know how old I was at the time. We had an uncle that lived here for quite a while. He was a professor actually at Albion University. Uh, so he told my dad to uh, come over, and he decided to because of us. because of, there's really no opportunities over there when you're older, right?
Okay.
As far as like corruption and stuff like that. So yeah, there's I don't want to talk ill about the country, but yeah, that's where I was born, so I can't really speak in that way. But yeah, I mean that's why we moved over. So yeah.
What was
My,
like, yeah,
so no, I mean my dad came here for about 2 years or 3 years or so, and then we came along after. So
okay,
yep,
cool.
yep.
What were like the biggest challenges growing up, I guess,
The biggest challenges growing up, where? In
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 Cameroon?
Cameroon?
Yeah. Or like what were the biggest differences?
Between here and there?
Yeah.
Biggest difference is, like I said, the opportunities, right? There's really no opportunities over there. Obviously, I was younger, but I had the chance to go back a couple years ago, and I saw it. Things are, yeah. And my dad made the right decision. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. So you guys then you end up in Michigan. Is it just kind of like your dad got a new job and you guys ended up there? Or, like what was the process like of just like moving to a totally different country?
No, I mean that was a plan all along for us to come over and go to school here and grow up here. So, so we came over, and I don't know too much of the details. I don't know too much of that. I didn't get to talk to my dad about it because I was young at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, no, I mean it was it was good getting here. Transition was good, because over there in Cameroon, it's actually a bilingual country. It's French and English speaking country. So I was lucky enough to go to the English side of the country over there. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so that helped over here.
Yeah.
Not
That's
Not
crazy.
not coming here and like having to learn a new language.
Yeah. I
That would
talked
suck.
to Nazar Kolchisky and he's from
Hmm.
Ukraine and he talked about how he thought his English was really good like coming here. And then when he
Yeah,
got here, he pretty much it was really
yeah.
struggled to learn it and stuff.
That's true. You know what though? I will say one thing. When I first got here, uh, I like the way we speak English over in Cameroon. It's kind because Cameroon was colonized by England and France. That's why
Okay.
there's two English speaking countries over. I mean, languages over. Uh, so when I got here, the way we speak actually, it's more like Great Britain English. So like
Okay.
we pronounce everything.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
here, when I first got here and I got to school, and the teacher said something and I was like, hold on, can you repeat that again? It was like almost like it feels like someone had like she put water in her mouth and like was speaking. That's how it came off as in my ears. So yeah,
Okay.
funny. It just took some time to adjust, but yeah.
Yeah, just like those little nuances and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
So then you go to JW Sexton High School and you don't start wrestling until your junior year.
yeah.
So
Uh,
so like what do you do like what were you into? What were your hobbies and your favorite sports before starting wrestling?
Man, I don't know if you know this or not, but my name Bebeto is actually my dad named me after famous Brazilian soccer player. So I
Okay.
got a Brazilian name actually. My first name is Brazilian.
Okay.
He won the World Cup back in before I was born. I think it was '88 or something, because I was born in '89. So that was soccer was my thing. I loved it. I still do. I watch it all the time. So that's what I did when we first got here, and then when I got to high school, and that's what I was doing. And I don't know. I just it just seemed like when we got here, the passion here for soccer wasn't the same, right, as how it is over there, or even in Europe, because Europe it's huge. That's like the NBA or the NFL, right? Soccer is. Uh, so I mean, I decided to. I mean, first off, I had a lot of teammates that didn't really they didn't really enjoy it, right? It was more of a I was I'm the kind of person that, like, if I want things to succeed, whatever I do, right? I want it to work, right? I
Yeah.
want it to work, and when some people don't do it, they do 80% or like 50%. It's kind of annoying, right? So I don't mean to seem like a uh,
I feel like that's how a lot of successful high level wrestlers are,
uh,
though, and just
uh,
successful people. I mean, it's understandable.
so well, going back to the story, I I decided I wanted to try everything, because I've never did track before. I never did, football. Never did. I actually tried track. I did pole vault, by the way. I
Okay.
did cross country. I did pole vault. I did tennis. I played football as well, actually. So I played soccer for, no, yeah, 3 years. No, 2 years. So I did freshman, sophomore year, and then my junior year, I did football as well.
Okay.
And then I decided to stop football to concentrate on wrestling my senior year.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's what happened. So
Were you pretty good at soccer, like growing up?
yeah, I thought I was the Ronaldinho, or, like, I don't know if you know Ronaldinho. He's like Messi. I'm sure you've heard of
Yeah.
Messi, Ronaldo, but Ronaldinho back in the days was the guy. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, he actually mentored Messi. So in Barcelona. So
Okay.
sorry, I'm speaking soccer talk here. Sorry.
Hey, I'm learning. This is good stuff.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I I played a lot of soccer, and I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. But I wanted to give myself opportunities to go to college, right? And so I figured I'd try every sport. So and it's a crazy story, but my sophomore year, uh, I had they had Coach McFadden. He passed away. He was an older coach over. He's like the grandfather for Lansing Sexton for all sports. Uh, he actually used to open up the weight room for me, so I would like go lift in there, and I loved lifting. Before I even started wrestling, I lifted a lot. We used to have competitions actually between like guys on and at school, right? So we
Yeah.
just lift a lot. Uh, so his grandson actually wrestled. So one day, I don't know what happened. I can't remember. So I somehow got into the wrestling preseason practice on my sophomore year,
Okay.
and and they started putting us through workouts, and I was like, this is and I saw pictures and like people in tights, and I was like, uh, uh yeah, this is not for me. I'm getting out of here. So I never went back. So my sophomore year, I was actually introduced to it, and I was just like, this is not good. I don't like it. So I walked out. Uh, well, after practice, I just left and I never came back. So fortunately, I love breakdancing as well. Actually,
Oh.
I've loved. When I grew up, I loved watching like Jackson. I used to watch Michael Jackson videos when I was younger. Like when I was back in Cameroon, like that, TV. That's all I did. So I started getting into breakdancing middle school, and over here in high school, I was still, dancing, uh, and I met this guy actually. He was a monk guy from my high school. His name was Pao Thao. Pao was good, to say the least. The guy was good. Like we used to have these battles during lunchtime, and just, man, those are, yeah. So And then one time he just kind of ran up to the wall and flipped and then landed and kept dancing, like doing a windmill. So I was like, wow, this guy's good. So I asked him like, what do you learn all this? How do you have confidence to do all this? And he was like, oh, well, I'm on a wrestling team, so I practice there all the time. So I like, oh, cool. Can you teach me? He's like, yeah, if you come up to the practice. So this is like before our season started,
Okay.
my junior year. So I was like, all right. So I went along and right before practice, it was preseason practice, and we were there working. I mean, just kind of trying flips and like doing cartwheels, all these tumbling stuff, and the coach actually, uh, Coach Howard, Jeffrey Howard, he's a assistant coach over at Sexton. Great guy. Probably one of my best friends right now, actually. So he came up to me. He was like, "Hey, man, you can't be in here unless you can't be in here unless you're on the team. Like, you got to get out. Hey, you guys can't keep coming in here because that wasn't the first time. That was probably like throughout the week. I showed up probably like twice or three times.
Just
It
a
was like
break dance.
yeah, just to break dance, just
That's
to
awesome.
flip and tumble because the mats were soft. You have a lot more confidence, right?
Yeah.
Rather than the concrete. So I so as soon as he said that, I was like, I guess I'm joining the team. So yeah, so that's how I joined the team and for wrestling my junior
Nice.
year. Yeah,
So, what was your first like reaction of like the first month of doing it?
I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it because it was tough. I like I said, I love working out already, right? So that was right around my alley, and yeah, I think I won most of my matches due to my strength. That's about yeah.
So you said you kind of started, you were always into lifting, like even before wrestling. How did
Hmm.
you get into like lifting weights?
Well, I think my older brother used to do it a lot, and he had a bench thing in our backyard at home.
Okay.
I don't know why he got into it. I think he wanted to do football, so I just started doing it with him, and
Nice.
yeah, that's just what happened.
I was just curious
Mm.
because like I was like the opposite about lifting weights. I did it just because like I had to with the
Yeah,
wrestling team when I was in high school.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
sure that helped a lot though.
Oh, it does. It does. I mean, definitely in a higher level, especially in high school. If you're in high school and you lift, yeah, that'll propel you a lot. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So you finished that junior year 24 and 12, which is like a really good year for someone that just started wrestling that year.
yeah.
And then the next year, your senior year, you take second at state. I guess like what are the biggest things you did over the summer and off season and stuff that helped you make those jumps?
Uh, a lot of workout. I mean, it's not just me. I mean, everyone that's successful, it's not just the person, right? Because there's a lot of people that help me out. There's Coach Shane Tisdale, actually. He's and Corey Tripp, Rashad Howard. They helped me out a lot, and they brought me to a lot of tournaments during the summer. I tried. They ran practices at Sexton, a couple at Okemos High School. It's like not far from where Sexton is at. It's probably like 20 minutes away. So I just try to be on the mat. I try to be on the mat as much as possible. Probably like 3, 4 times a week during the summer. And I worked out probably, yeah, I ran a lot. I lifted a lot. I I don't know. It was a lot of hours, right? Just a lot of hours. But
Was it like all stuff on your own or were these like team things?
well, I mean, it was a practice. So I had coaches that ask questions. So that helped a lot, during summer doing those. We went to a couple of freestyle tournaments. Uh, No, actually one freestyle tournament and then did a Ludington Beach tournament. I remember that summer. Yeah, it was like a tournament out on the grass, put mats down right by the beach, at Ludington Beach in Michigan. So it's pretty cool.
Okay,
Yeah. So
that
and
sounds
then I went
sweet.
to yeah, and I went to a freestyle state tournament in Michigan. So I just tried wrestling a lot. That's what it was because I felt like I needed to catch up. So yeah.
So then, like going into your senior year, how did you feel about like how the year would go?
My senior year,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I think I'm trying to remember how I thought that time, but I feel like because I actually went to a camp the summer before my senior year called a state champ camp. It was in
Okay.
Lansing Eastern. Uh, Kevin Jackson was actually there, and that's where Kevin Jackson went to high school, Lansing
Oh,
Eastern. That was like it's like 15 minutes away from my high school.
that's sweet.
So yeah, so he was there, and he brought along. I don't know if he brought along, but Matt Valenti. I don't know if you know who that is.
Okay.
He was the national champ for I believe UPenn
Okay.
uh, a long time ago. So he was there. I think that was the year he won actually. Oh, yeah. I think it was maybe 2 years or a year before. Uh,
That's
so
pretty
yeah, I
cool.
got to roll around with him, and I got to roll around. There's a lot of state champs at that camp. There's a lot of tough guys, right? And I held my own, right? So yeah, I think I was excited, right, to see what I would do in my senior year. But yeah.
So then your senior year, you have good amount of confidence, like you just explained, and you beat a guy named Craig Eifert, who was
Mm.
a two-time state champ. I guess like what was it like going into that match, and how did it make you feel after beating him?
I mean, Craig Eifert was he was he was good. He was good. He was he uh he was very technical, and like I said, when I was in high school, I was very strong. I was very physical, right? And that's what happened in the match. And I mean, I felt great after I beat him, you know. But beforehand, I mean, I always had this mindset. I mean, just doesn't matter who's in front of you, right? Because my coaches always told me that, right? Because everyone's scared, right? So, I mean, I believed in my coaches, so I just went out and did it, and luckily I won. So, and then from then, that's when things turned around. I believe. So I had a lot of confidence after that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I actually wrestled him again in the conference finals, and he beat me. It was a close one, but he beat me.
Okay.
He was good. He was good. And before that, actually, there's a funny story. Uh, my very first tournament, my junior year. Uh, no, not yeah, very first tournament. It was at Lansing Eastern again. Uh, I hated losing. That's me. I hate losing at anything. Like sometimes it's really bad, right? I mean, if I don't care for it, then it's whatever. But if I do care for it, I hate losing, right? So I uh, I care for wrestling, right? Because I was putting in a lot of time, and I went to that tournament. What was it called? It was a Lansing Eastern, and I think I lost my first match. Yeah, it was close. It was very close. And then coach was telling me, "Oh man, you did, you know, just got to fix this and that." Man, I was like, "All right, okay, I'm done with this." I would literally, I was like, "Nah, this is just ridiculous." So I walked out, and needless to say, we came in there with the bus, right, like the school bus. So I walked out, and I was like, "All right, I'm leaving." I walked out the door, and I saw it was snowing out, it's freezing. Okay, I just finished this tournament. So I went back in, and yeah, and I did better. I think I won 3 matches after that, and then but I lost. I think I lost out. But yeah, I mean it was good. It was good. So I think more of the story was, I mean, I was this close from not doing it, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like my sophomore year, I was this close from not, even doing wrestling. So who knows how life would be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
So,
crazy how those little things make such an impact.
hmm
Obviously, they made a big impact for you.
yeah, I don't know where I'd be without wrestling. So I'm grateful for it. So
So then your senior year, you take second at state. Did you wrestle that Craig Eifert at the state tournament?
he was D2 and I was D1.
Okay.
Yeah, we're different divisions. So
Okay.
yeah, he actually, I think he was a three timer. So he finished 3 timer. So
Well,
yeah. My are you asking about my senior year?
yeah.
My senior year, the guy that I wrestled in the finals actually, what was his name? Uh, John Hausman. John Hausman from, yeah, John Hausman. That was his name. I believe I wrestled him in the finals of regionals. Uh, so 2 weeks before the state tournament, and he teched me. Yeah, I got teched in probably, I don't know, first period. It was something like that. I can't remember. I got taken down and he just kept turning me and kept turning me. And obviously I wasn't the best on bottom. So because I was just still learning. But yeah, I believe that after that we worked a lot on bottom, and we fixed some things, and it, it was this close, but we didn't get I didn't beat him in the finals. I lost by like one or something.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big. Yeah, that was definitely one of the proudest thing that I've did in my competitive career in high school. That was just to avenge that gap, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that was cool.
Well, that's impressive. So you have that match, which like you take second at state. You obviously feel really good about it, though, considering those circumstances and how far you came from your junior year. So like,
hmm
where are you thinking in terms of college wrestling at that point?
At that point, I'm just like I said. I tried finding different sports, so I wanted to go to college, right? And I just ever since we got here in the states, I'm an adventurous person, right? And we never really, we didn't have the means, right, to like travel around and stuff. So, I always wanted to see different places. I just wanted, that's just, you know, uh, so I just decided I'm going to college. I don't know where, I don't know how, but I'm doing it somewhere, but I'm wrestling. Uh, so I actually, when you take top two at your state tournament, you can go to the senior nationals tournament. And luckily, I took second at state.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I got the chance to go to Virginia Beach for the senior national tournament. And yeah, with Coach Becker, Ron Becker, uh, good man. So he's an old time coach at Lansing Sexton. He's won a couple of state tournament there as a coach back in the 80s. So it was good. Uh, so yeah, I actually went down there with him and Coach Johnny Brown. That's his friend. So we took a road trip, and as soon as we got to the arena, the very first, because we were looking for a scale, the very first person that uh, we found, I think Coach asked him like, "Hey, where do you know where the scales are at?" He's like, oh, it's right there. And we saw his credentials, and he's like, oh yeah, hey, oh yeah, I'm a recruiter, yeah, yeah. Oh, so he told him lacrosse, and then he's like, oh yeah, I got a kid over here that's looking to go to college. He's like, oh yeah, like, oh okay, D3, okay, yeah, yeah. So I met him. His name was Billy Hubner.
Okay.
He's up at I think he's still up at uh, it's a university in D3 university in Iowa. Luther. Luther. He's up at Luther, I believe.
Okay.
Uh, so he came up to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, I coach I'm a recruiter for UW-La Crosse." So I looked at him and I looked at my coach while I was shaking his hands, and I was like, I turned back at him. I was like, "I don't play lacrosse." So I thought he meant like like the game lacrosse.
That's what everyone says
Yeah,
when I told them I was going to lacrosse. They're like, "I thought you wrestled." I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
so
See,
annoying.
I'm not the only one. So yeah, so he's like, no, it's a wrestling team. That's just the name of the town. So I was like, oh yeah, yeah, okay. So I exchanged contact, and yeah, I mean that's how I met. That was the very first person that I met, the very first recruit that even spoke with me, because obviously I was still new to wrestling, right? So I didn't really get any recruits or anything like that knocking at my doors.
That's a crazy story, just like considering you ended up going there and having all the success that you did. But
Yeah, it's crazy. Life's crazy. Can't sometimes you just you can't explain it. It just things happen. You just accept it. So
so what did the next steps look like from you meeting that recruiter to competing in a lacrosse singlet?
uh well, when I came back from the tournament, I was looking into it a little bit. So I talked to my dad, and everyone was like, yeah, I don't know. You sure you want to do that, So I was like, yeah, I do. I do want to. I just want to go. Because like I said, like I wanted to get out of Lansing. I mean, I love. I mean, I'm proud of where I came from. But I just needed. Like the environment wasn't good, right? So I just figured that I needed to get out of there. So I told my dad, and he was like, are you sure? So just make sure if you go, you can. I was like, no, I'm not coming back. so I pretty much I called the recruiter and I was like, yeah, I'm coming. So just packed my bags and went. I just left. That was it. And because it was so late, right? I didn't really have time to come for a visit or anything like that. So I was just like, no, I'm going. That's it.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy now that I'm thinking about it. Like, man, what were you doing?
Worked out though.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you didn't meet Malachek or any of the coaches yet then?
Nope, nope.
So what did you think of them right away?
What, Coach Malachek?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Malachek. He's a leader, right? He can if he tells you to get underneath the water and stay on it for 5 minutes, you probably do it,
Yep.
right? It's almost like a surgeon, But he's a good guy. Uh, he uh he had, I mean, some of the things that he says, before you go out there on a match. I mean, it inspires you, right? You're like, oh man, I want to rip this guy's head off, right? Like when I go my opponent, right? So he's good. He's good at what he does. He's great. He's one of the greats. So the coaches. So
Definitely.
yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of other coaches. Like I said, Coach Derek Folsang. Uh, there was also I don't want to jump ahead here, but there was also Ryan Allen. I don't know if you know who that is. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a three-timer over there. I remember when I was in lacrosse, the first couple of tournaments that I did with lacrosse, he was always like, it's almost like he saw something in me that I didn't even notice yet, right? He was all the way he spoke to me, like, oh man, this is like it's almost like this, you got this. Like I'm not even worried, right? So it was almost like, oh well, I'll do it. I mean, because the way he was communicating with me, it was almost like, oh yeah, it's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to beat this guy.
Yeah.
So so that was cool. Uh,
So that like built your confidence too,
oh
just
yeah,
like
oh yeah,
having
oh
someone
yeah,
like that.
oh yeah. Uh, who else was there at the time? Josh Shelf was there at the time. Very nice guy. Uh, he's a two-timer. I think I came the year after he graduated, I believe. I think he was kind of helping out. Uh, who else was there? Yeah, no, that was it. Oh yeah, Tony Gannis was there too. He helped out a lot. I didn't really get to work with him a lot because obviously when I got there, I had to go to a technical college because that's what the recruiter told me that would be happening, and I was like, yeah, I'll go there for a semester and then transfer into lacrosse. So and that's what happened.
So did you transfer there like at second semester?
Second semester, I did. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
nice. So how
Yep.
did those like what was it like just like your first month or two training with the team and competing and stuff?
Like after I transferred in,
Yeah, like just like high school versus college.
uh, I can't remember exactly when. I can't remember exactly when with because the very first practice that I did in lacrosse, actually, I don't know if it was a preseason practice because everyone could come to it. I don't know if it was a very first. I can't remember exactly, but it was a very first practice of lacrosse, and I don't know if you remember the old wrestling room. I don't know. Were you there
Yeah,
when?
yeah,
Okay. Oh, so you're in there when they had the transition between the old and the new.
yeah.
Oh
I had
man,
1 year in there, so
man, you're lucky. You're a lucky guy.
so hot, so small.
Yeah. Seems like every time when you go, things get better, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So I got in there the very first practice. I can remember this like it was yesterday because obviously you're nervous, right? Uh, so I get in there and Coach Malchek's talking before the practice, and there's a lot of people. You know, preseason, there's a lot more guys on there. I mean, was it pre? No, I think it was actual first day of practice. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly if it was preseason or first day of practice. But it was so hot in there. It felt like it was so much more hotter because I was so nervous. You know, uh, and man, I got my butt whipped bad. I'm gonna tell you what my butt too. It was Justin Garcia.
Okay.
You know what that is?
I don't.
Yeah, Justin Garcia from Wisconsin. He yeah, I was just so nervous that I was just, like you know how it is. Like you feel like you have nothing in you, right? Like it was bad. It was bad. I got ridden out a lot. That's what happened. So it was I think it was a 10-minute go and I was just on bottom the whole time.
I feel
So
like that has to happen to pretty much every freshman. I
yeah,
mean,
well, he was a freshman too. So
oh, okay.
yeah, so there's no excuse to that.
Well, I was just thinking if it happened to
It
you, it
happens.
validates it for me. So,
Yeah, it happens. So
yeah, that's a fun first experience. And yeah, it is like when you walk into a totally new team with, 30 new guys and new coaches, it is like kind of nerve-wracking experience.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was just. I mean, you make it more you make it more than what it is, right?
Yeah.
It really isn't. What is it, right? It's just it's you and someone else, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I made it a lot. Yeah, I got my head there, but he handed it to me. So yeah, uh, yeah, no, that was my first practice, and when I was walking back, I was biking back. I was like, man, this cannot happen again. I remember that was like my thought. I remember my thought was like, man, this is ridiculous. Like this can't happen. Like I remember thinking that over and over and over, like this cannot happen again. That's it. This can't. So I had to get better, right? So yeah, that was my first experience in the lacrosse room. So
How did those first couple tournaments and competitions go for you your freshman year?
uh man, sorry man, I got short memory. I think we went to a tournament in, man, what was it?
Like the Wheaton one?
No, can't remember. I think I think one of oh man, what was it? It was a tournament that a lot of like the Wisconsin Badgers went to.
Okay.
A lot of other D3 schools went to. I mean, some Iowa State schools went to it. What's the very first tournament you guys went to when you were there?
Like in second semester,
First semester.
first semester. Luther Open
Luther.
or Augie?
No, that's I'm not sure what it is. But
Okay.
yeah.
Do you remember
But
like how it went though?
uh I believe I went 3-2, I think. Like I went 3-2. Yeah, to tell you the truth, I can't remember.
No, it's all good.
I can't remember. So, but I remember Josh Chelf was there, coaching. I remember he had his wife was very energetic. I remember they're always cheering on the wrestlers, and uh, man, I cannot remember what tournament that was. Yeah, but yeah, no, I didn't place. I didn't win the tournament. I didn't. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it was it's
So
tough. It's tough.
was this like when you were going to Western and you just like went to an
Mhm.
open?
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You said my very first tournament, right?
No, yeah, I did, but
In
I was
college.
like, I saw your record was 7-2 your freshman year, so I was like, oh, in the fall or what?
Oh
But
yeah,
that
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I my very first tournament with lacrosse was actually the WIAC tournament.
Okay,
Yeah, that was the WIAC tournament because I joined so late. Like it was more like second part of the season, so I did a lot more duels. So
nice. And
yeah,
then you
when I
took second there, which is pretty
joined.
good.
Hmm.
So, did you like improve a ton that year, just like throughout the season?
Uh, that season, yeah, it was a lot of learning, a lot of figuring out, like what works for me, right? So, and like I said, that was like my third year wrestling. So I was still like soaking up everything, right? I was still trying to learn different things, So yeah,
That's crazy that it was your third
yeah,
year wrestling.
yeah.
Um, so then the next year is very successful for you. What actions did you take, like from the end of your freshman season to the beginning of your sophomore year, to just make the improvements you did?
Well, going back to my freshman season, that at the WIAC tournament, uh, I don't know if you know this or not. Uh, Back in the days, it was more of uh, you had to win the WIAC to go to a national tournament, and then
Okay.
only yeah, I think it was the number one place, and then they have bids. So the coaches get together and bid, like, oh, who's gonna go? Like, or he did this, or he can probably do good in nationals because he probably beat this guy during the season, right? I don't know how they did it, but so I I went ahead. I was supposed to beat this guy. I mean, I was supposed to wrestle this guy from, what was it, Stevens Point. That's who I had in the finals in my freshman year. So yeah, I wrestled him and I lost. It was a pretty close match, and I didn't get the bid. I didn't get the bid, but they gave it to some guy that took fourth at a different weight class. And they didn't actually get this. They didn't give it to the guy that took third in his weight class, but they gave it to him because their program was getting dropped. So that's yeah. See some politics there. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah. So that one hurt bad. It did. So yeah, it hurt bad. So after that was over, the guys that were going to nationals, I was still getting in there, kind of like I was still training, like I was going, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I still worked out with the guys, and I was helping them how I could, and yeah, and then during the summer actually, I came back to Lansing for a month or so, and I don't know if you know who Franklin Gomez is.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, so he was at MSU national champ actually that year, and so when I came back, I believe it was that year. Yeah, it was. So when I came back, I got the opportunity to wrestle with him. So I went into the room and I wrestled him and his coach and Tony Jones as well. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah. So after wrestling them, that gave me a lot of confidence. So
What was that experience like?
it was great. It was great. It just kind of reinforced that I was in the right path, right? I was going head to head with him, for being someone that just won D1s, you know. Yeah, it was it was cool. It was cool. I couldn't believe it. It was almost like I was shocked, right? And I was shocked. I almost shocked myself, right? So that I think that's what really changed my mindset, I guess. So
Yeah, that's understandable. And he was a silver medalist the following year.
yeah, the following year after that, yep. No, 2 years after that, because I
Okay,
think he came back his senior year and he lost, I believe.
that's
He won his
crazy.
junior year. Yeah. So yep. Yeah, it's a nice guy. Franklin is a nice guy. He helped me out. I mean, he doesn't know it, obviously, but he's helped me out a ton with my the way I think, right? The way I uh, just the trajectory of my wrestling career just changed from those practices, because I probably wrestled them for like a week, going in there a couple of times, like I think three days or so that week. Yeah, so it was great.
Good stuff.
Hmm.
So then, is that like the main thing that you'd credit, just like the jump you made from your freshman to sophomore year?
Yeah, definitely,
Well,
definitely, and a lot of. I mean, there's a lot more guys, right? It's not just one person. So there's a lot of guys that helped me out. So
what were like your routines during the summer like? Like, were you getting tons of morning workouts in and stuff?
uh yeah, I mean, during the summer when I was in La Crosse, I would either if I got up early enough, I would go for a run. If not, then I would definitely go back. I never missed. There's no way I would miss, right? I always told myself I won't stay in La Crosse if I'm not during the summer, if I'm not gonna work out. Like that defeats the purpose. That's the whole point, to stay,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so every day after work, I'd go for a run, either bluff run or as I'd try to get as much wrestling as I can. So I'd try to drag some guys in there, I mean, if they can't, I'll go lift. If they can, I'll go wrestle. So I would just do what I can, right? So
So you have a wildly successful season, and then you're going into the national tournament, and you break your foot either right before or after. Is that
it
right?
was in between it.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Like
was
during the tournament?
during the tournament. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what happened. But I it was the very first match, my sophomore year, uh, at nationals. Very first match at nationals. So I don't know what happened. Either I took a shot or I don't know. I don't know what happened. I can't explain it. And while I was taking him down, my foot kind of twisted and I don't know what happened. And I like slapped a half and he was pinned. Yeah,
Wow.
he like got pinned. I don't know if the match could have been different after if that sequence got done and I didn't finish him. Who
Huh.
knows, right? And it was like when he was getting pinned and I woke up and just limping. I couldn't. Yeah. So man, I was freaking out. I was like, so they gave me a bunch of ibuprofen and wrapped it up, and everyone was just. I remember Coach Malchek was like, "Oh, you're fine," like and then how he does it, how he communicates, and you're like, "Yep, I am fine. Maybe I am." And even Matt Mossaf was my teammate there. I don't know if you know who that is.
Hmm.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Yeah, you're fine, you're fine," And everyone around me kept saying it, so I was like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I am." So I wrapped it up. It hurt bad. Uh, so I
Was that
wrapped
your
it up.
opening match?
My very first match.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I wrapped it up and somehow so I kept like kind of limping, because it was the ibuprofen was kicking in, so I was fine and no, yeah, I tell you the truth, I don't know. I can't explain that one. So I can't.
Good stuff.
But I know after the tournament I was on crutches though for like a good probably 3 weeks. So
So
yeah.
you go on to win the national tournament with like a broken foot, pretty much.
Yeah. It was weird. Yeah. I have no answer to that.
Were
Yeah.
you even like thinking about the foot at all, or did you just
You
wipe it
can't
away?
if yeah, you have to. You have to because if you don't, then that's it. Your whole season's over. So yeah,
Wow.
I had to think about the match or what I was gonna do, right? Instead of because if I thought about that, man, you know how it is. Your imagination, you might feel more pain that is even there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So what were those
yeah,
first feelings like after you like literally won the national tournament with like a broken foot?
it was great. It didn't hurt at the time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was great. I felt good. I felt like all the work that I did over the past year or even 2 years, actually got something out of it. So yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. And then um the next year you got a record of 27-2 and win the national tournament again. Pretty good stuff.
Hmm.
Um Sorry, we're getting kind of long, so I don't want to like skip over stuff, but you
Nah,
had a
you're
lot of
fine.
success, so it's hard to talk about it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have down
Oh,
here that you attribute a lot of your success to wrestling Cook in the living room.
oh yeah, no. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people that help me, right? There's a ton of people. I can't sit here and go, hey, this guy did this and this guy did that. I had a lot of teammates, wrestled out with Matt Mossef, Albie a lot, like with Albie literally a lot because he was 25, I was 133.
Yeah.
Uh, and Bobby Dorn, there's tons of other people that helped me out. You know, a lot of partners. Obviously, you can't do anything by yourself, right? So yeah, and Coach Coach Fosang helped me out a great ton, right? Because coming in, pull me to come in the morning and drilling before he went to work. That's yeah. I'm not a morning guy, so I respect that.
You got a lot of morning workouts in though, didn't you? Like when
Oh
you're
yeah, oh yeah,
competing,
oh yeah.
because you have
Yep,
to, I guess.
yep, yep. Before classes, so yeah.
Good stuff.
hmm there's one thing too that I wanted to say since we're in my sophomore year, because I wrestled my freshman sophomore year at 133. Uh, I quite remember my my sophomore year before even winning the tournament, and I think that's my explanation for why I my foot got messed up at nationals. This is what I think, right? It was a lot of I cut a lot of weight.
Okay.
So I got to a point where I was sitting in the locker room. I sat in the locker room one day, like before I had to cut weight for a tournament, and I was just like, man, I like things are closing out, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is yeah, I hated wrestling, right? Because I quite remember guys would always like, you can ask any of my teammates every time when they would ask me about my weight, and I would just glare at them like, hey, that's my business. That's none of your business, right? It was, I mean, it got to be bad, right? Because of cutting weight and always moody, and it was bad.
How much weight were
So
you cutting at this time?
I think I was my normal weight. I mean, I've always been around there. Uh, then it was probably 55 when I was in. I don't know. Yeah, so that was a
At
lot of
40,
weight.
so wrestling 41?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of fat, you
Yeah,
know.
you're
I
pretty
just
cut, dude.
yeah. So yeah, it sucked. It definitely did. So I yeah, pretty much I came up to the office the next day after that night, and I told Malchek like I can't do this. Like I almost thought about like quitting, and I was like, no, like what are you doing? Like, and I was just like, no, I'm going up. I'm going up to 41. This is like my sophomore year, and I was like, yeah, I want to go up. I can't do this anymore. And yeah, I mean he we talked it out, and he told me like, okay, how about you make weight such and such tournaments, right? Like the Pete Wilson, the WIAC tournament, and like I think it was a duel or something. And yeah, I mean it was right around January. Yeah, I think yeah. So yeah, I mean I'm glad that happened because it was some dark times. I'll tell you that.
So after
That
that, though,
wasn't
like
fun.
things with your weight got better.
What do you mean? Like after the talk?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, it got better because I didn't have to make weight every week, right? I didn't have to make weight back to back to back, right?
yeah,
So that helped a lot, right? So I can kind of plan, okay. So I got how many such and such days to get down there, right?
yeah.
Instead of always cutting and always cutting and always cutting and just not. I used to go to class and just like look at people and like they would take a sip of a drink or
You're
something and
just
just
like,
like
oh my
slowly put
God.
it back, and I was like, what do yeah, it got bad. Trust me. Yeah,
Yeah,
you should ask my old teammates. Yeah, they'll tell you. Yeah, it was bad.
I'll
It
have
was,
to do that. I'm looking
yeah, it
forward
was
to it.
bad. Yeah. So it's always moody. It
Yeah,
was not good.
I'm sure you've cut a lot more weight than I have, but like I've done sometimes just like cutting like I don't know 10 pounds like 3 weeks in a row. Like that just takes it out of you and makes you forget why you like wrestling.
Yeah. I
So,
know. Trust me, I was at that point.
yeah,
Yeah. So
I bet. So then, your senior year, you have a very successful year. You win a third WIAC title at 141, and then you make it to the national finals and lose a super close one. I think it's like 9-11.
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
What was, I guess, just like what were your thoughts on that? Like going into the tournament, how confident were you and stuff? And
I mean, I was prepared, you know. So I mean, it just didn't happen. Uh, I mean, he had a game plan and it worked. It was, you know, much respect to that. You know, I think it kind of exposed some of the things that I needed to focus more on, you know. So, I mean, the thing is, he was a big 41 pounder. Uh, so I never wrestled him before. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it happened, you know. Like this, I think the best thing that even happened from that was like, okay, yeah, I know now that I want to keep wrestling. So yeah, so thank you for for the guy. So
yeah.
I can't remember his name. He is from Wartburg though.
Oh,
Can't
okay.
remember his name. So
The Wartburg guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there still like a
They're I don't know. They're really good now. So
yeah,
them and Augsburg, um, La Crosse is getting there. I'll just say
yeah.
that they're
Oh,
getting back up there.
we'll get there for sure.
So yeah, but yeah, um, that's all I got for you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on and stuff. It was fun getting
Mhm.
to know you and
Yeah,
hear the stories that I've heard about from everyone come to life.
definitely,
So yeah,
definitely. So, all right, I appreciate you having me, man. Love what you're doing here with the sport. So,
yeah, I appreciate it.
and oh yeah, I think you forgot uh the Egypt
Oh yeah, yeah. So
because you
I asked
because
you some things that like were crazy in your life, and you just said Egypt. So I'd love to hear about that.
yeah. Sorry, I was kind of scrolling here when you're so I don't miss anything.
Oh, you're
But
fine.
I remember when I was at Minnesota, actually, I uh I I was still trying to like get in contact with the Cameroon team to like uh to wrestle. So I'm thankful for the Storm because they helped me out a lot. Uh, so the very first time that I got a hold of them and they said got in contact with them, I have some family still in Cameroon, so they got a hold of the president of the Cameroon Wrestling Federation. So I got his number, so I talked to him, and he said that yeah, actually there's a tournament, the African Championships over in Egypt, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So at the time, I was waiting for my passport to get there to get back to me because I just applied for another one because you got to renew it, and and the tournament was like on a weekend, so I kept telling them like, hey, I'm still waiting on my stuff, and they're like, oh, you should show up, you should show up, we'll be there, and so I don't know, I think it was like that Monday. I think it was that. Was it that Monday? I know it was that week. That Monday, my passport shows up, and so I called him and I was like, "Hey, I got my passport. Am I still?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Just just get there, and I'll be waiting for you on at the airport." And I was like, "Okay, perfect." So, I don't know if you do any international travel or not, but you have to get a visa to
Okay.
get out of the country to go to the destination that you're going to. So I didn't do that because obviously everything was so last minute. So I actually took a flight. Like Storm actually helped me pay for a flight from Chicago. So I took from Chicago to Alexandria. That's where the tournament was going to be, Alexandria in Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got on the flight I actually met my dad over at the airport in Chicago, and so I got out and I was waiting in front of the line, and as soon as I got there to talking to the person, and they told me, "Hey, you can't Egypt. You need a visa to get there." And I was like, "Oh well." I told him about the situation, like, "Hey, this is a wrestling tournament. I'm meeting coaches over there." I, he's like, "Hey, you're going there at your own risk because I don't know. I don't. I should have listened to him at the time, but he's like, no, like, okay, if you're sure, go ahead." So I was like, okay. So he put me in a plane. So luckily, before I left, I wrote down the name of the person that was in charge of the tournament. I wrote down the name of uh, the coach's name, like the his phone number, uh, everyone that's important relating to the tournament. So so I get in a flight and then travel. That was like my first time out since I came to the US. So so I got there. It was probably like 3 a.m. in the morning or so over there. And so I didn't think about all this, like, oh, having like an international like sell like
Oh
a
yeah.
plan or something like that. I didn't think about that, right? Because everything happened so fast. And so I get so we get to the airport, and this person uh, is telling me that, hey, you got to have a visa to get in. So I almost didn't even get into the country. So I somehow, I don't know, I somehow convinced them that, hey, my coach is waiting for me outside. Like, and he's like, okay, if you're sure, go ahead. So I went ahead, and he was like, make sure you call me when you get there. So I grabbed his number, wrote it down. And then once I got out, I was looking for my baggage. The security. It wasn't good. So it was just kind of like turning around, and people were like, there was no uh, like people were there with like I don't even know what you call it, like batons. I don't know, the security guards just kind of like they like unzip your bag and kind of like pull it left, pull it right. Okay, just so it wasn't really any like detailed security.
Yeah.
So so I got my bag. So I'm kind of rushing out. So it's about like 3:30 in the morning at this time. So I go out. So I'm like looking around. I'm trying to call, nothing. I was like, oh man, yeah, my phone doesn't work. So so I go downstairs. So I took my bag, and like on the bag it says like where you're from, right? Like uh so I took my bag. So I'm looking outside, and it's dark out. I'm like, I don't want to go there because So I was like, let me just go take a peek outside and make sure that maybe the coach is out there. So I walk out, and then this is what happened. Literally, as soon as I walk out, it was dark out. Everyone just like went like this and like looked at me, right? And looked at my bag. So I think someone noticed that uh, I was from the United States. So, and then I felt that. So I was like, all right, I'm going back in. This can't be safe, right? So I went back in. So sitting there looking around, trying to find someone that can speak English. Uh, and then I found this woman, luckily, and I told her, hey, like from the United States, I was meeting with my team here. They were going to a wrestling tournament. And she was like, oh, do you have the numbers for the, I was like, okay. So I gave it all to her. She called this guy that ran the tournament. And luckily he was up. It was like 3:30, almost 4 a.m. And he answered, and the hotel was actually Hotel Tulip. And she was like, okay, well, I know where you're going. So she said, go change your money, your dollars into pounds, because they use pounds over there. And so I was like, okay, thanks, I appreciate it. Like kind of like just excited, that someone can actually hear me speak,
Yeah.
and and so
It's
I
gotta
go
be
over
pretty
there.
scary.
Yeah, so I go over there to change the currency exchange area, and this whole time I didn't know that someone was listening to our conversation, right?
Okay.
So I get to the place and I change my money, and as I'm walking back to the lady, someone taps me, "Hey, Hotel Tulip, I'm your limo driver." So I was like, "Oh, wow, that was fast." So I was like, I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go tell thanks to that girl." I was like, "No, Hotel Tulip, I'm your limo driver. Let's go." So I'm like following them, and I'm almost walking out. And I was like, something tells me to go say thanks to that lady.
Yeah.
So I went back, and I was like, "Hey, thanks for everything, and appreciate it." So she was like, "Yeah, there goes your limo driver," and it was someone else. And I turned around, the guy was gone. The guy that was telling me he was my limo driver, he was
Oh
gone.
God.
Yeah, so that was like red flag right away.
So it's like pretty sketchy.
Yeah, it was sketchy. So this is like at 4 a.m. in the morning now. So I get the money to this older man, and he rips out my ticket, and he gives it to me. He's like, "Hotel Tulip, around the corner." So Mohammed. So so I went with the guy. The limo driver took my bags. We walked outside. It wasn't a limo. It was just a car called a limo. So we walked outside, and I was like, "Hey," so I'm trying to make conversation. As soon as we get in the car, I'm trying to make conversations with the guy, and he's like, "Oh, I don't speak English," So I was like, "Okay." So you guys speak? What do you? So I'm just trying to make conversations, right? What do you guys speak here? And before we even get there, before we even get in the car, and I'm looking outside, the airport looked like it was bombed.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah. So, so that's why I started trying to make conversations, right? Because
You're like,
I
what's
don't
going
know.
on?
Yeah. So we go probably like 10 minutes goes by, and I was like, because this guy and this lady told me Hotel Tula was gonna be around the corner, so I thought it was pretty close. So like 10 minutes goes by, nothing. So I turn around, like, "Hey, how long do we got?" And he's like, "Oh, around the corner." So okay. So it was so dark out. It was dark to see, and I kept seeing, like, those army trucks with like tarps in the back. I kept seeing a bunch of them. It was kind of lit up. It was weird. I don't know. I've never. It was lit up, like some were green, some were red. I don't know. So we kept driving like another 10 minutes, and I was like, okay, well, this guy told me it was around the corner, and nothing. So I like say, "Hey, like, how far is it?" Around the corner. So can you imagine what I'm like thinking right
No,
now?
I can't.
So so I was like, okay. So I wait, like another 5 minutes go by, and we see, and I'm not. I don't know over there. I don't know if there's a speed limit or not, but he was going like 120 miles an hour.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, here, like we go like 75 and or
Yeah.
80, and oh, you're speeding, right? Or like 90 when he's going at 120 miles an hour. So I'm just, you know, kind of looking around, and it was dark out, and we see this tarp. We see this army truck with the tarp on the back, right? Like covering the back. And he's like weaving and diving and just going left and right. And all of a sudden, it was so windy, and like the tarp like flew off from one side to the other, right? And just kind of like exposed like the back. Guess what I saw on the back of it?
I don't know if I want to know.
It's a
What
bunch of
was
people
it?
tied up.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine what I'm thinking? Yeah, it was bad. So I tapped him, and I was like, "What is that?" He pretended like he didn't feel me, right? So I tapped him again, like harder, He turned around and looked at me, and I was like, what is that? And like he looked at it, looked at me, smiled, and like went past it and drove past faster. All right. So I mean, I don't know how many times you've had in your life that you think like you were dead, like that was it. That was it for me, right? That was the scariest thing for me, like in my life. Uh, so yeah, so I'm thinking of things, like I was thinking of things. I don't know if I want to say this on camera, but yeah, I was just thinking of things to protect myself, right? I was just like, yeah, not. I mean, it's gonna have to be a bunch of them out here to. Uh, so another 5 minutes go by, and we start seeing a city, and start getting light out, and I was like, okay, well, not everyone here wants to kill me. If anything, I can, run. Uh, so he passed. He looks at me. He taps me. He's like, there goes the Red Sea. So I was like, okay. I'm just keep looking at him, and then we get to the city, and then he turns around like, "What's up, Tulip?" Around the corner. So another 2 minutes go by, and then we get to the place that we're supposed to get to, and he parked. And as soon as I stepped out, I was like, I pretty much took half of the money that I changed and put it in his hands, and I was like, "Hey, if I need a limo driver, I'm calling you." So I got his number, and yeah, that's yeah.
Oh
That was
my
an interesting.
God.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't
So
either. Did
yeah,
he like say anything else after that,
didn't
or
say
just
anything. Nope, nothing. I mean, a language barrier. I
yeah?
mean, that was just yeah.
So do you think like he was like affiliated with those people, or he just kind
I
of
don't
knew what
know
was
what he
going on and
was.
yeah,
I think he. I don't know. I think he did. I'm not sure, but hey, I'm glad it's not me. So, because
yeah,
that was that's bad. That's bad.
yeah.
And came to find out when I got back was that how the Islam is like two different sides, right?
Hmm.
I guess they're at war with each other over there, and I didn't know that before I went over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's crazy.
before you do travel anywhere, make sure you do your homework.
Moral of the story. Good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I was asking myself, like, man, what? I'm gonna get killed over wrestling? That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
And that's it for today. Man, what a story. Thank you guys for tuning in, and shout out to Bebeto for taking the time to record the podcast. Also, if you like the show, as always, please give me some feedback on the Mad Awareness Instagram or Twitter. Even if you just want to say hi, I'd love to connect with more of you guys. I know a lot of you guys are listening, so that would be awesome. Also, as always, please leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts so more people can watch the show and hopefully enjoy it. Also, I want to say that just if you're listening to the podcast on a podcasting app, it's also on YouTube if you like the video format for these kinds of interviews. So go check that out. Anyways, thanks again for tuning in and have a great rest of your week.